Hello, everyone. I'm Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspire podcast. Welcome back to a new episode. If you can support us, go to www.spiritualinspire.ca and donate. My guest today is no other than Dr. Bruce Lipton. Bruce, thank you for joining me today. It's quite an honor.
No, it's an honor for me because I have a chance to communicate with your audience, and your audience are people who are waking up to a different world. And so I want to thank you for this opportunity where we can share some information that will help us move into the future much more happily.
Yes, indeed. And I wake up every day to a new world, to a new version of myself, that's for sure. And there are so many transformations in the world that I hope I was able to find the questions that will ignite more curiosity into those who will watch us.
Well, I'm excited because there's so much we could talk about. Everything from biology to evolution to being in love and enjoying your life.
Yes, and there are very few books that are so influential on many layers of the society as the biology of belief. I mean, you turn the scientific community upside down and explain to the regular men and women what they were, that they were the architects of their own destiny. Are you working these days on anything as important as that discovery?
Well, I think so. I have a book that I'm putting together right now on a theory of evolution called conscious evolution, which is a complete challenge to Darwinian evolution, which has been the most destructive consciousness that has entered our civilization because Darwinian theory is summarized by survival of the fittest in the struggle for life. I go, life is not a struggle, and competition and surviving is actually very destructive because evolution is based on community and coming together. And I love it because this might affect the English people a lot. Why? Because Darwin was wrong, and the French biologist Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck has the most accurate theory and was officially the first scientist to write a theory of evolution, not Darwin. Lamarck was 50 years before Darwin and wrote the first scientific theory of evolution.
Yes, and there are so many theories from the past that will be, as I said, turned upside down, even related to the Earth. I mean, the scientists consider that the Earth is filled with a core of iron and nickel, and other scientists or those on the spiritual path say that, in fact, we have a black hole in the middle of the Earth that generated the water and attracted the matter around the black hole. So all this will come to light, I hope, very soon, and our future generations will learn the truth.
Well, yeah, because we're uncovering things that we have bought to be true, like, oh, civilization started in the Middle East, 5,000 years ago. And now we find there were big civilizations here 10,000 years ago and they disappeared. And all of a sudden it says, wait, the Earth has a much longer history than we currently know about. So we're revising our understanding of the world from everything from the history to the biology to the physics. It's all being revised because we need to move into the future with the knowledge that is more accurate than the one we have been believing.
Yes, and I think one of the theories and concepts we have to come to terms to is that Earth is a living, breathing organism in continuous change and movement, and we are moving and evolve with her because we live on her surface.
Well, it's more than we live on her surface. We came from her surface. The Bible story says, oh, God created the planet and then put water and trees, blah, blah, blah. And then he added humans. And I go, wait a minute. Humans came from the garden. They weren't added to the garden. We are the garden. And our theories have left us with the Darwin theory. You say, well, why are we here? And the Darwin theory is based on a whole bunch of accidental mutations that led to us being here, which is 100% false. We came here with a purpose. Humans have a purpose on this planet. And the purpose is this: every time a new organism is added to evolution, the life of that organism changes the environment. They eat food, they put out waste. And so, to try to keep balance, nature always adds another organism to balance the previous one. But then this one goes out of balance. So nature adds another new one, and that goes out of balance. And we are at the top of all of this because we are the most powerful organisms that can influence the environment. And the problem is we have no knowledge of this. We thought we got here by accident. It's like, no, the Native Americans, for example, knew that this was a garden. And their society was, we are gardeners to take care of the earth. Well, we lost that picture, when the Europeans came here. Now they destroyed every damn thing because somehow we have a belief that we are here to control, we are the dominant force and we have dominion over nature. And I go, well, with our ruling, we are destroying the environment so fast that our survival as a species is now in question.
Yes, it's unfortunate that, like in Black Panther, the South and North America didn't have an energy shield to prevent Columbus and all the other conquistadors to see the land and go and conquer and pillage and change a whole continent
Well, this,
over the
it's
hundreds
quite
of years.
unfortunate because I really want to recognize for people to let them know I'm a very spiritual person. From a biological point of view, it's not, oh, a new idea, spirit. I go, no, it's physics and biology. That's what spirit is. And the significance is religion has made a business out of spirit, and with their belief systems, we are not just destroying the environment. Oh, we have dominion over it. Oh, we're destroying each other because the programming of religion is fight one another. Oh, my God is the God. Your God's not the God. And three basic religions, Christianity, Muslim, and Judaism, we all came from the same source. It's religion that has separated us. And what we have to do is come to recognize we are all spiritual entities. We are all part of God, and that nobody can separate us from God. We can't even separate ourselves from God. We are a piece of God. We are creators. And then you look at the world and go, wow, we're not doing a good job at the creation. We're better at the destruction than the creation. And so this is why I really want your audience to understand we're in a transition. The chaos that you see all over the world is not an accident. The chaos says, and this is a fact, well, I'll give you the math and then that will make a point. According to science today, if we want to just keep everything running the way it is today, we need the resources of 1.6 planet Earth. Well, wait, we have a problem. We only have one planet Earth. And we're using resources beyond what the planet can provide. And it says, so in the process of getting all those resources, we are destroying the environment. And the reality is this: it's our civilization's culture, the behavior of the civilization that is responsible for the destruction. I say, so what does it mean? It says, well, if you want to survive, we have to let go of the current civilization because that's where the problem is. And we have to build a new one. Well, this is why we see the whole world is in a state of chaos. Why? It doesn't work. Civilization doesn't work. It's failing. And we don't go back in and fix the civilization because that is the problem. We step Buckminster Fuller, a famous futurist, said, don't go fight the system, get out and create a new system, and then the people will come to the new system. Well, this is exactly where we are, and your role here, Claudiu, is very important because you are bringing consciousness of a new system to the world. So you are part of the major, what I call cultural creatives. You are helping the people transition from a self-destructive world we're in today to a world that we can thrive into tomorrow, but it means changing our belief system, and this is what we need to do.
Yes, I like that. And going back to what you mentioned about civilization, is the darn GDP acronym who pushes us forward, and they want us to, have a 2%, 3%, 6% GDP on a yearly basis, which I mentioned before is not sustainable because of limited resources and how we're gonna extract these resources. And I also
Let me
mentioned there are
add something to
technologies.
that.
Yeah,
Let
please
me
go ahead.
add something. Let me add a biological reality. There is no organism that keeps growing. All organisms reach a level of growth, and then it's called maintenance. You don't grow anymore. In fact, there are some rats with a mutation that keep eating and keep eating. They get so big that their feet can't touch the ground. Their belly is so big that they can't. They're going to die. What's the point? It says civilization has grown to a point we can't keep increasing every year. That's the false understanding that you just brought up. The point is we reach a level of stability which says don't make it increase, keep it static, keep it the way it is, because we pushed it too far and we're like that rat. We're going to die because
Yes.
we're destroying the environment to get all this food, and it's killing us because, in fact, that's an interesting, I'll just add this. A human's lifespan should be an average of 150 years. And I said, well, how come we only live to 100? And everybody goes, that's the big deal. I go, that's half a life. I said, where's the other half? And the answer, this is really cool. When you burn fuel, you get waste matter that is toxic. Example, don't breathe the exhaust pipe from your car, okay? You burn the gas, but the exhaust coming out is toxic. When we eat food, digestion is burning the food. That's why we have a body temperature of 98 because the heat of burning the fuel, okay? But when we burn the fuel in our body, we also get waste product, and they're called free radicals. And free radicals are like highly charged atoms, like bullets, high charge. And the free radical waste from digestion shoots the holes in cells and kills the cells. The more we eat, the shorter our lifespan. And so we have to come to a new consciousness that says, wait a minute. And now there's some science that hasn't even come into the public yet, okay? That says, you know how plants get energy because they have chlorophyll, the green stuff, and the light hits it, and then the chlorophyll translates the energy into food. We have something like chlorophyll. It's called melanin. It's the pigment in your skin. Guess what? It does the same thing as chlorophyll. It takes energy out of the environment, and we could get 90% of our energy just by being in the environment. That means we only need 10% extra from food. Well, with supersize me meals and bigger meals, and we're eating so much food that the digestion of that food is causing us to lose 50 years of our life. And that if we cut down and eat a small amount of food, we could live to over 150. And we wouldn't destroy the environment by growing more food. We wouldn't have to cut down the rainforest to make more hamburgers. The idea is we could live here without destroying the environment if we just ate a small amount of food like the original people on this planet. They were hunter-gatherers. They didn't know if they were going to eat. They would wake up in the morning and we'd start walking. Will we find something? Maybe, you know? But the point was then biology revealed that these people could live with hardly any food because there wasn't a grocery store. There was no place to get food. If you found it, great. And if you didn't find it, you could still go. So I'm bringing this in because it's a new biology that hasn't even hit the public yet. And it basically says, you want to live longer? Start eating less and less. You can't just stop and say, today I'm just going to eat a little tiny bit. No, you have to, what you say, wean yourself off of food slowly reduce the consumption of food. And then when you get down to the smallest amount of food, you can live to 150 years.
So, in other words, the breatharians are right because there are a lot of people who are just breathing in the ether, the sun, and people make fun of them. Even doctors who tested them still don't believe that something like this is possible.
I know because this is new stuff. And you know what? I'll tell you where the whole thing came from. Where did the idea that we could get energy from just around the energy around us? The Chernobyl nuclear plant, when it blew up, every year they would send a robot with a camera to see what was going on inside. And in the reactor, where in the middle of the reactor, where all the radioactivity was, right? After 5 years, they started finding black mold growing on the walls, just like the black mold in a shower or the shower curtain or that same mold, okay? And they said, how could something grow in the reactor? And it turns out it's the black in the mold that translates radioactivity into biological energy, okay? And I say, so what is the black in the mold? The same pigment we have in our skin. And the point about it is that pigment, melanin, can take radioactivity and turn it into fuel. So we're like plants. We don't need to eat so much food. That would be evolution. Well, think, how would evolution benefit if they made an organism eat the environment up? It would end it. Oh, well, that's where we are because we have a misbelief, and it's a wake-up call that says, you want to live longer? Eat less. The less you eat, the longer you live. And if we learn that as a civilization, then we could, support the environment and not destroy the environment to make more food.
Yes, and another conclusion from what you said is if we give nature enough time, nature will replenish itself. She will come back and it will show us a different facet of herself.
Yeah, let's go to the Chernobyl story. The reason why I bring it up is because after the reaction and the explosion, it's called a zone of exclusion, meaning they made a big zone around the reactor, said no humans can come in here, it's too much radioactivity. Well, guess what? The city that was there is now a forest. Buildings, trees are growing out of the buildings and on the roof and out the windows. And there's more wildlife in Chernobyl area than anywhere else in the former Soviet Union. What was the point? No humans? As soon as humans were not allowed to go in, nature rebuilt the whole thing again. So people think, oh, it's the end of the world. I say, no, it's the end of humans. The world's going to grow beautifully as soon as we're gone, unless we start to act like the gardeners that we're supposed to be. Instead of destroying the garden, we should be maintaining the garden.
Yes, very interesting. Bruce, you've been in contact with a lot of people on their spiritual path and also interviewed and interacted with researchers. Have you encountered anyone with 4 or more DNA strands activated?
Nope, nope. I look for that because when the whole story of 12 strands came out, I, as a biologist, said, where'd this come from? Where's this? And I try to go back through the research, or the papers, and they always, this person said this person, and it goes back. It was just an idea. It was an energy idea, not even a physical DNA. It was an energy DNA. And I go, that's not biology. That could be spirituality, but it's not biology because that's not real. DNA is a two-stranded molecule. In a lab, you can mess with it, okay? Yeah, but in the human body, it's not manipulated by humans. In the human body, it's manipulated by epigenetics, the control of the system. So the idea that there's more than two molecules in a physical body, no. In a lab, you can mess with it, but inside this body is a special laboratory. And this is one of the problems is that we want to get into our biology and fix things, medicine. Okay. Oh, let me open you up. Let me give you some drugs. Let me, fix you. And I go like this. I'm going to tell you the true story here about the United States, right? And it was published in two major scientific journals. One of them is called the Journal of the American Medical Association, the Journal of Doctors, right? The other is the British Medical Journal, published articles. And what did they show? Medicine in the United States is the third leading cause of death. First is cardiovascular disease, leading cause of death, then cancer, number two. And number three has a Latin name, so people don't even know what it means. It's called iatrogenic illness, which means illness as a result of medical intervention. In other words, medicine is the third leading cause of death. And if you stop long enough and go, medicine is the third leading cause of death, maybe I should think about it before I go to the doctor. I go, good idea. Because medicine today is not medicine like it was 60, 70 years ago. Medicine today is a product of the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical industry determines the curriculum in medical school. I say, why? Well, if there's new ideas about healing without drugs, it's not taught in medical school. Medical school teaches doctors to be drug dealers. The mission of a doctor is to interview you for 4 or 5 minutes and then give you a prescription before you walk out the door. That is business as usual in the conventional medical profession. Now, let me just add this. It's not the doctor's fault. They were programmed. They were programmed through the medical school, which is programmed by the pharmaceutical company. So we live in a drug-infected world. And just in the U.S., we have less than 100,000 people die from illegal drugs, cocaine, heroin, all that, right? 300,000 people die from prescription drugs. They don't talk about that. Why? Well, that's the cost of doing medicine. That's what they say. I go, well, it's a very expensive cost when 300,000 people taking your prescriptions are dying. And that's a wake-up call. Please wake up, people. The pharmaceutical company is not your friend. The pharmaceutical company is a corporation. The function of a corporation is to make money for the shareholders. Not, if they're a drug dealer, that's a second thing. First thing, make money. Second thing, we sell drugs. So I go, yeah, guess what? You buy all the drugs. What's the money for? For the profits. And I go,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Stop for 1 second. Healthcare should be a humanitarian effort for humans, for humanity, for the nature of healing our people. It should be nonprofit. Any medical system that charges a profit is making money off of sick people. I go, that is evil. Sick people need help. And you can't. 60% of bankruptcies in the United States, 60% of people who have to go to court, lose their house, lose all their money, 60% are because people have medical bills they can't afford. And all of a sudden, medicine is self-destructive. Not the doctor. They're just playing a role. They don't even know what the hell they're doing, really. Because I programmed them as well when I was teaching in a medical school. I was a professor in a medical school. So I speak with knowledge.
Yes, you're right. And this subject comes up in this podcast over and over again. I talked to doctors who left their profession, gave up their license, and started holistic medicine and alternative medicine. Some even got into sacred plant medicine because they saw the results of that. And my prediction on this podcast is that in 5 to 10 years, the alternative medicine and the type of healing your friend Dr. Joe is doing will be predominant way of healing. What do you think?
I think 100%. I don't know how quick it's going to be because I remember when it first began, alternative healing was a long time ago and it slowly started to get more and more. A statistic I had that's old now, 50% of people would prefer to see an alternative healer rather than go to a conventional medical doctor. So it's building up the number of people that are starting to say, I get better health care from the outside doctors, not from the inside doctors. And we have to wake up. If it's not doing well, then it has to disappear or change. And this is where we are right now.
And what are the alternative way of healing you are recommending to those that come in contact with you, and you are confident that they will help them?
Oh yeah, I tell you. Look, there's a biology is like a machine. My work with the molecules, the DNA, the proteins, this is mechanical machine here, okay? Below your neck, everything down here is mechanical machine. And what doctors look at, they look at you, oh, you got a heart problem. Oh, you have a stomach problem. Oh, you got a problem here. They're looking down here in the machine and they say, let's fix the machine. I go, you don't understand. The machine is controlled by what's up here. The consciousness is controlling the machine. If you don't affect the consciousness and you just want to affect the machine, it's not going to work. You need to understand that our consciousness is creating our genetic activity. That's epigenetics, the new science. The old belief genes activated by themselves. Gene turned on, gene turned off. I go, that is 100% false. A gene has no control over itself. It's controlled by the environment, which is the chemistry from the brain, which is connected to the consciousness. You change your consciousness, the brain changes the chemistry, and the chemistry goes into the blood and it alters your genetics. And all of a sudden it says, don't mess with the machine. It's too complicated for people. That's why medicine is the third leading cause of death. They think, oh, I just stick some stuff in there. I go, you can't do that. The biology is more sophisticated than medicine. And it says, don't put your hands in the machine because you don't know how it really works. And that's why the best healing is outside, consciousness, energy healings, things like this. Yeah, because if you put your hands in the machine and you don't know how it works, then you become the third leading cause of death, like medicine is.
Yes, and the psychologists I interviewed, they're all changing their approach to their profession. Some of them are pushing for new ways of interacting with their clients, and some associations have agreed to accept this type of approach because sometimes it's very hard for those who are in on top of this association to accept new ways of healing other than the curriculum, and some are successful to push through and apply the new approach with their clients.
Yeah, well, the whole idea was conventional talk therapy, cognitive therapy. Let's go back and talk about your history. Your mom did this, and your best friend did that, and your dad did this. I go, there's a saying that says, do not kill the messenger over the message, meaning whoever interfered with your life back then, they're not here anymore. What's here? Your program that you learned. So do I have to go back and relearn the program? I say, no, that's a waste of time. Matter of fact, sometimes it makes it worse. Why? I don't have to repeat. That's why they have the box of tissue at the psychology place, so you can cry. Why? Because oh, my dad did this, my mom did this. They cry. I go, I don't care. Why? They're not here. What's here is the message you walked away with. Killing the messenger, waste of time. And in fact, it can make it worse, actually. What the point is, can we take the programs that you have in your mind now and change them for the future? Backwards, waste of time. And the answer is yeah, there's new forms of psychology called energy psychology. It's a different version. In fact, just for people who say, what's that? I go, on my website, simple, brucelipton.com. I have under references the new psychology, energy psychology. I got maybe 25 different modalities of different. This is how these did it. This is how they did it. This is how they did it. I give a little paragraph describing each of the modalities in a website so you can connect with them. What's the point? The point is we need to change the energy, not the body. The body is controlled by the energy. This is physics, in fact. It's the first principle from Albert Einstein. The field, the energy, the field. This is a quote. The field is the sole governing agency of matter. I go, what does that mean? It's the invisible energy that shapes the physical reality. You want to change the physical reality, you don't want to touch the energy? Big problem. It's the energy that is creating this. So, like cancer. Oh, cancer, there are genes that cause cancer. I go, no, really? Fact? Yes. There's not one gene that causes cancer. I said, where did the cancer come from? Not living in harmony with life, living with stresses you're not dealing with, living with emotions that you're not handling well. The genes for cancer are activated when that happens. That's why 50, because women are so afraid the breast cancer gene, as soon as they have the picture, breast cancer gene, I'm going to get the cancer. And they get fear and they get afraid. I go, wait a minute. 50% of the women with the breast cancer gene don't get the cancer. I said, what does that mean? That's a fact. I go, well, fact. Then having the breast cancer gene doesn't mean you get cancer. Then I said, what makes a difference where 50% did get the cancer? I go, because their life was not right. Then the cancer was activated. Cancer doesn't activate and then your life goes crazy. Your life is crazy, then the cancer is activated.
Yeah, so we have to take responsibility for our life now, not for what was in the past. As you said,
Oh,
cut all
you
the
said the
ties.
magic word. People don't want to hear the magic word. The word is responsibility because we have been programmed to believe we are victims and life happens to us. I have no responsibility. I was walking down the street and then I got cancer. I go, no, it doesn't happen that way. You are responsible for the behavior that led to the cancer. And they kill the cancer cells with chemotherapy and they kill it with radiation. I go, that didn't solve where the cancer came from. They already had the cancer. You didn't answer the question. How did they get the cancer? Oh, you kill all the cancer cells. Big deal. Because if you didn't understand how you got the cancer, you're going to. And I go, that's the problem. The cause of cancer is not the cells that are already got cancer. They already have been converted. What caused them to be cancer? Well, you're not going to solve that by killing the cancer cells. They were already, activated. You didn't, so all that therapy, you know what? If a healthy person took those therapies, radiation, chemotherapy, they'd get so sick. They'd feel like they want to die. I go, here are sick people that are being pushed into doing this. I go, my God, they're already sick. What are you going to do now? You're going to make them worse. Fact.
Yes, and I think there are so many cases on record that got healed through energy healing. They just participating in various satsangas or gatherings that send them love and energy and positive thoughts, and they had the mental strength to see themselves cancer free or disease free, and that so-called miracle happened, and they were healed.
Yeah, because they're dealing with the energy, not dealing with the chemistry. The energy shapes the chemistry. You want to change your biology, you don't change your body, you change your consciousness, your body will change with the consciousness. And so this is the difference between conventional medicine and new medicine. Conventional medicine, oh, you have a body like a car, and we can put parts in there or change some of the chemistry. I go, you guys don't even know how the damn thing works well. And that's why when you use medical intervention, it's the third leading cause of death because they're not operating from the principles of physics or the principles of the new epigenetics, which is not genetics, it's a revolution epigenetics. So conventional medicine is a drug dealing profession. Their job is to give you a prescription, and when you buy that prescription, you're supporting the the money of the investors. And to me, it's like again, You're charging people extra money to make a profit because they're sick. You're making money off of sick people. Well, that's evil.
And just to make it clear, it's a legalized drug dealing business, because if you and I will do it, we'll end up in prison. But for
Right.
them, they got lucky, and it's a legalized way to do it.
Yeah, but now look at it this way. If a doctor wakes up to the things we're talking about, and the doctor doesn't do the conventional drug therapy, the doctor can lose the license. So the medical profession holds the license above their head and says, you don't do what we want you to do, we take away your license. So after they invest their life into this career, they can't afford to practice good medicine. They have to practice conventional medicine because their license is dependent on that. So the profession owns the doctors. If the doctor does something different, the doctor can lose a license, and then
Yes.
no more doctor.
Yeah. And I had a very courageous oncologist from the USA on this podcast, and she gave up $500,000 salary and a good position in a renowned hospital because she couldn't do it anymore. She had a very transformational spiritual experience. She went down the rabbit hole, and she said, I am helping people to die, not to live. And she realized that only 5% of those with the treatment went beyond 5 or 6 years. And
Yeah.
she said, this is useless. And she switched totally, like 180 degrees to alternative, to shamanism. It's just unbelievable.
Well, for me, it's quite believable because I did that 40, let's say 40 or more years ago. I was a professor in a medical school. And when I understood the new science, so I was way ahead of everybody because of my research revealed the new science. I walked out. I had tenure. I had a job for a lifetime. I could have stayed there, and my whole life they would have to pay me for that job because they couldn't fire me, right? I walked out. Why? I'm not helping people. I'm actually hurting people because I'm teaching doctors that people are victims of their heredity, victims of their genes, when my research revealed that was completely false, that we control the genes don't control us. And my colleagues were still teaching people the genes control your life. I said, I can't do this anymore. And I walked out. And I have a great life. But I have a great life for two reasons. One, I'm a happy son of a gun. I'm a healthy guy. I'm 80 years old, but I'm not going to pretend I'm like old people. Why? Consciousness. If I think I'm old, then I become old. That's how simple it is. People don't understand. Whatever picture you have in your mind, the brain translates that picture into chemistry, and the chemistry goes into the blood and then goes into your body and makes your body match the picture. If you think you're getting old, your body's going to get old. If you think you can't do it, you can't do it. And people say, oh, positive thinking. I go, yeah, you know why? What do you think the placebo effect is? The placebo effect, you have a serious illness, nothing works. The doctor says, I got the newest pill. This pill made just for you. This is a special pill. And they take the pill, they get better. But the pill was a sugar pill.
Mm.
So I said, then what made them better? And the answer was they believed in the pill. Not the
Yes.
pill worked, they just had the belief in the pill. So that was positive thinking that healed them. Now, while we're on a topic, the more important thing is this. What about negative thinking? Oh, we don't talk about that. I go, well, you damn well should. You know why? Negative thinking is equally powerful in controlling your life as is positive thinking, but in the opposite direction. Positive thinking, placebo, can heal you of any disease. Negative thinking, not science name, nocebo, negative thinking can cause any disease. And it can kill you. If you believe really you're going to die, you will die when you believe you're going to die. And the idea about it is nobody talks about negative thinking. And the most thinking that humans have is negative thinking. And no one understands that just having those negative thoughts are taking away the power from your life.
Yes, and that component is fear, because we identify ourselves with our bodies, and wow, we are going to vanish. We're gonna disappear in the ether, instead of thinking that yes, we are eternal. And you said that you are 80, you are halfway through your existing life. I'm 99 year young. I don't look like that, but I'm closer to 150. So I'm getting there.
That's the whole idea. So I want all the people out there to know that, do you have to age and fall apart and get all the weakness and no, you can stay healthy until the last day of your life. You know, there's no reason to fall apart unless it's just a belief, because we see, oh, as people get older, they fall apart, and that's our belief system. So when we get older, we fall apart. And I go, that's a belief system. You and I, we're on a different belief system.
Yes. Bruce, I would like to touch on a very sensitive subject that was and controversial at the same time, that was brought forward in the last 3, 4 years, and I'm talking about the mRNA.
Oh,
And there's a lot of talk about being introduced in the foods in the supermarket, and I think it is my common sense conclusion that this type of intake, if it becomes constant, might affect us at the cellular level. What's your take on that?
RNA introduced in the vaccines or in any other form is called genetic engineering. It has always been called genetic engineering. It has always been outlawed by the world scientific community until COVID. And all of a sudden they say, oh, we have to use it because there's nothing else that works. That was BS, belief system, uh, because there were many things that worked. Ivermectin actually worked. And the idea about it was what? Well, if they said ivermectin worked, then they couldn't use the RNA, because the only reason they could use the RNA was they said nothing worked. So let's do an experiment. I go, that experiment, the results are in. More people have been dead or have been damaged by the vaccine than what the vaccine was supposed to help. It was genetic engineering until they made the vaccine. Then they took out RNA and just put it out of the definition. I go, that was because they were selling the RNA. The idea of RNA is still genetic engineering. The COVID vaccine could go back into your DNA and change your life and change the future of whoever you produce, because it can change your genetics. That's what RNA mechanisms do, okay? And the whole damn thing is a failure. Hey, 98% of people in Israel got the vaccine, okay? And then the COVID went through there like a storm, and they all got sick. I go, what do you mean they all got sick? They were all vaccinated. I go, aha, the vaccine didn't work. And I'll tell you what you haven't seen. Okay. You, Claudia, I'm going to tell you because nobody else has seen it either. But I tell people, we as humans only have power when we are in a community of people. If I go on the street right now and say, let's have peace, nobody cares. Okay. But if I go out in the street with 100,000 people and say, let's have peace, then something will happen. Okay. The point is, community gives us power. Okay. Now let's go back to the COVID for a moment. And I'll tell you what, outside of Sweden, every country in the world did what? Don't talk to each other. Don't communicate with each other. Keep away from each other. There was no community left. The whole world lost community. All the people of the world had no power. The only power was in the hands of a few miserable people like Bill Gates and Fauci and a couple of those people. They controlled the world. They said, this is what you must do. Okay, we're going to do it. I go, you as a human had no power when COVID was here because the government took it away.
Yes.
And I'm saying nobody talked about that. They're all so focused on the virus. I go, and while you were looking at the virus, they took away your power. They broke community. There was no community of people on this planet outside of Sweden, which said they don't care. The rest of the countries of the world caused people to not talk to each other, put the mask on, separate from each other, don't get together. I go, that was 100% disempowerment of the human civilization.
Yes, they wanted us to They wanted to see how we react. It was a test. And they also, I think, wanted to see how their minions will react and if they will execute as per the directions from the top. And along the same question is WEF is saying that we are hackable animals now through vaccines and through other type of coding.
You don't
Do
even
you?
need the vaccine. We're programmed. The movie The Matrix, I tell people in my lecture, The Matrix is not science fiction. Matrix is documentary. What do you mean? I said, what's the premise of The Matrix? Everybody's programmed. I go, well, that's a scientific reality. We're all programmed through age 7. The Jesuits, for 400 years, even told their followers, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. They already knew that the first 7 years is programming, and the rest of your life, 95% from the program. And the programming that the Jesuits were doing is much more sophisticated today. When you see an infant that can hardly walk with an iPad, and all of a sudden I said, you want to see programming? Look at that infant. That kid's just been programmed. And I said, we're all been programmed. The matrix is real. And the significance about that is, yes, it's true. The Jesuits knew it. If I can give you the education in the first 7 years, the rest of your life belongs to me. And we have been programmed by a civilization to believe, oh, you're not in charge of health. Your doctor's in charge of health. I say, why is that important? Because if you're sick, you don't look to yourself to heal yourself. When you're sick, you say, oh, the doctor knows. And then whatever the doctor says becomes your truth. And if the doctor gives you a negative future, get ready, you're going to experience it because your truth is translated by your brain into chemistry. And they say you're going to die in 3 months, you're going to die in 3 months, you know? So the point about it is, hey, the Matrix is just telling you you've been in a program. You lost your power, okay? And then, but I'll add this because there's a little positive side. And I go, what is it? And I said, in the movie, if you take a red pill, you can get out of the program. Guess what? When people fall in love, when they first fall in love, it's called the honeymoon. I say, what's the honeymoon? Heaven on earth. I go, why is that important? I go, well, their life was blah, 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 blah. Then they meet somebody, and 24 hours later, oh, life is so beautiful. I'm so in love. Everything is happening. I'm so healthy. Yeah, love makes you healthy. Yeah, it's a fact. Okay. I go, life is so beautiful. Called honeymoon. You created heaven. You were living in hell. You fell in love. Red pill. 24 hours later, you have heaven on earth. Unfortunately, since you don't understand what the whole story is, the honeymoon later changes because you get back into the program and then life goes back to the way it was. And 50% of marriages end in divorce because when you fell in love, you stopped playing the programs, most of which are negative. So when you fell in love, your partner never saw your negative programs because you stopped playing the programs you were creating. Conscious mind, subconscious program, conscious mind, wishes, desires. I said, what happened when you fell in love? Wishes, desires. I go, well, what? How come your life was blah, 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 then wishes and desires? And the answer was program, 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 program. Fall in love, red pill, honeymoon. No program, creation, wishes, desires, wishes, desires. But there's a part where all of a sudden you go back into the program and you start playing these behaviors that your partner never saw. Why? Well, when you're doing the honeymoon, you didn't play the negative programs. But once the honeymoon begins to end, and it ends because of this, because at some point negative programs start coming back in again. And your partner goes, who are you? Where did that come from? And the point is, that's the ending of that relationship because these old programs destroy the honeymoon
Yes.
and comes to the programming.
And what I think also is a factor in ending the honeymoon effect is the lack of self-love, because we go and we love the other person, but we forget that we have to be part of the process and love ourselves.
100% right. I'm glad you brought it up because the truth is, I work in, giving lectures on how to control the biology, the genetics, epigenetics, and all that. And we talk about programming. Listen, 80 to 90%, 8 or 9 out of every 10 people will not test positive for the belief, I love myself. And the point you brought up is very critical. If you don't love yourself, then truthfully, how can somebody else love you? Because they say, I love you, and you're looking, go, what's the matter with you? I know I'm not lovable. What's wrong with you? And you will push away. You will push away love because you can't accept it, then you can't have it. And this is a programming. I can tell people why. It's very simple. Uh, let's say a player on a sports team is not doing well. They're older people, okay? 10, 12, 13, 15, 18, whatever. And I say, they're not doing well. The coach, when the coach talks to them, the coach doesn't go, oh, please do better. No, the coach goes, that's not good enough. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve to be on this team. And that gets the older person to think, oh my goodness, I'm not working hard enough. I have to work harder. Okay. If a child is under 7, they're not thinking, they're recording the experiences they record. So when a father or mother says, that's not good enough, you don't deserve this, who do you think you are? The child's not thinking, they're recording. I'm not deserving, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. That's a recording. I just downloaded it from my parents. The parents wanted to be like the coach. If I say this, you're going to do better. Yeah, but the child under 7 is not thinking. The brain is not at that level yet. I said, so what's the point? They're just recording. I'm not smart enough. I'm not deserving. I'm not good enough. Yeah, but that becomes 95% of your life because that's a subconscious program. And then the rest of your life, guess what? You become self-critical. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I go, yeah, but if that's your consciousness, then that will change into your behavior. And then all of a sudden you will not find love. You will never be satisfied with love. Why? Because if you can't love yourself first, you cannot be loved by anybody else, as you just said.
Yes. And I'd like to go back for a second to the Jesuits and the community because I know a factual case when Jesuits kidnapped children in Africa and they took them to their monasteries and they kept them away from their families for 10, 15, 20 years. And some of them were able to escape and they returned to their villages and they could barely speak the language. They could barely recognize their family members because they're so abruptly separated from them. And by doing that, the Jesuits tried to create Trojan horses in Africa in these communities and break them apart and introduce religion instead of the local culture of respecting nature and ancestors.
That was the most important part. The local culture was living in harmony with nature, and then the church came in and took them out of harmony. And that didn't happen just in Africa, my friend. In the United States, that's happened big time. They took Native Americans and put them in schools, and they used to beat them if they spoke in their own language, and they beat out their whole history and made them look at their parents as bad people, and that their world was made of bad people. So don't go thinking Native American. You become like us. Well, they destroyed these people. Many of them, and the church has now recognized how many people they killed, how many kids died in these orphanages where they took them away from their family. And they're discovering, oh my God, you killed that many thousands of kids. Why? Because you wanted to break their religion, their spirituality. And then I say, oh, that happened to us. And you said Africa. And I go, hey, the Aborigines in Australia, exactly the same thing. And what was the point? Religion. And remember, I'm a spiritual person. Religion is one of the biggest problems we have on this planet because religion causes separation. You're right because you're in the right religion. They're wrong. They're in the wrong religion, and therefore you will fight them. And I go, religion has been the cause of wars from hundreds of years now. And the idea is, I hope they're not here very soon because we're going to have to know. John Lennon in the song, he talked about uh, letting go of all this stuff. John Lennon, famous song. All of a sudden, the name disappeared from me. But it was all about what if there was no government? What if there was no religion? What if there was no war? And I go, that is the correct destination for where we are. We're in a self-destruction mode because we've been following orders from other people and we have lost our own power. And it's time to take your power back. And a lot of it has to do with those negative programs that we got in the first 7 years. 60% of the downloaded beliefs that we got in that first 7 years are disempowering or self-sabotaging or limiting our power. So uh, we have to change that for children. We have to give them a better upbringing and say, no, you are powerful. You are a creator. Give them the power because everything is take away the power from us.
Yeah. And I recently interviewed a missionary from the US, and I told her, look, I agree with you going to a different country, to a less developed country and communities to help them improve their lifestyle, build homes or bring clean water. But don't try to impose your religion onto them because they've been around for thousands of years and they know how to live, and they live much better and much more synchronicity with nature and the divinity than you and me. So
A
please
hundred
stop
percent.
doing that.
100%. I'm 100% behind that. I even work with some what are called First Nation Native Americans in Canada. I work with a tribe, a Cree tribe, and the Cree tribe they have a spiritual background long before the Europeans did. Okay, they have a celebration called the Sundance, and the Sundance is a recognition of the Great Spirit God, and that the Sundance is to offer you offer yourself to the spirit and say, I want to help people. I want, it's a whole important ceremony. Most Native American tribes don't want white people to come to these ceremonies because white people destroy them, okay? But the chief of the tribe that I was with said, we, as you mentioned, Claudia, that we, the indigenous people, know how to speak to the planet. We can read the signs and we can live in harmony with nature, and you, other people, can't. So the chief said, what good is it if we keep this secret and don't share it? So he opened it up, and I was, until COVID, I would take 50 or so people from around the world to go up into the woods with the Cree tribe. No electricity, no phone, no computer, and create a Sundance ceremony, which is not watching a Sundance, it's working with the native people, camping with them, living with them for a week, where you build this giant arbor and you do the ceremony and all that. Everyone who came, their life was transformed because they started to see how to be in harmony with the planet. You don't cut a tree down until you pray to the tree. You don't kill an animal till you pray to the animal before you do that. How everything is done to keep the beautiful garden because the indigenous people said, we are gardeners. We're trying to keep the garden. But when the people came in and eliminated them and the church brought them in, first thing they did was destroy the garden. And we're still destroying the garden. So I feel very honored to have been taken in by this tribe up in Canada because it gives people from around the world that really want to go. I select them, from all the parts of the world that never been to like North America, and a lot of them because if you've never been to North America, it's worth a trip to come in here and to be with the natives. And I think next year I'm going to start again because the COVID thing threw a monkey wrench into the business, and I just did a fundraiser because their community still does the Sundance, but not with, I didn't bring anybody like I have been bringing. And I want to open it back up again in the coming year because I've seen how people came there, some with cancer and stuff. and having an experience of with the indigenous people, living with them, working with them, sleeping with them in the camp and doing all this, they got healed. People got healed emotionally. They got healed spiritually. They got healed psychologically by what? Living with the indigenous people and taking part in that very important Sundance ceremony.
And have you included the sweat lodge in the process?
Oh, sweat lodge is part of the process, of course. That's a very important part. There's a men's sweat lodge and a women's sweat lodge, and there are different roles. The men do one kind of role, like cutting the trees down and building the arbor, and women take care of the land and prepare for the spiritual happening. And it is a great experience. But the sweat lodge is a wake up. It's a wake up call with the spiritual leaders in the sweat lodge offering teaching while you're in the sweat lodge.
And because we're on the subject and the tools of increased consciousness, have you tried plant medicine or anything similar?
Yeah,
And how did you find it?
it opened up my eyes. It opened up my spirit. It opened up my heart. Connected to the world. I connected to who I really was, which I didn't know who I really was until I understood. What did I learn about, first of all, spirituality? Very simple point. Look, you and I cannot exchange organs with each other. I cannot give you my kidney because then your body will say not self and your immune system will destroy it. If you put your lung into my body, my immune system will say not self and destroy it. I go, wait a minute. The immune system sees things that are physical, viruses, parasites, bacteria. I say, how do they know your cells are your cells and my cells are my cells? There's got to be a different identity. They were looking at identity. And so as I followed through my research, it was like, oh my God. On the surface of your cells, there are a set of proteins called receptors. Okay? Receptors read the environment. Okay, look what's on my face. Eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, pain. They're all built into my skin. The cell's skin has simple versions of receptors, okay? There's a set of receptors called self receptors. That's what the immune system looked at and said, oh, you have a difference. No two people have the same set of receptors, like a combination lock. No two people in the world have the same set. And I said, what are they? They're receptors on the surface of the cell on the outside. I said, what do? They receive a signal. I said, what's the signal? You. Your identity is a broadcast picked up by the receptors. No two people get the same broadcast because no two people have the same set of receptors. So what makes us different? Not the body, the broadcast makes us different. I go, then what? So analogy, make the picture. Look at this as a television set. And you're watching the Bruce show right now, the Bruce show, okay? When you're watching the TV and the TV breaks, we say the TV is dead. I go, yep, it's not working anymore. The question, did the broadcast die when the TV broke? And I say, no, the broadcast is always there. Get another TV and tune it to the right station, and you're back again. I go, reincarnation. Yeah, you know why? Your identity is not in here. Your identity is the broadcast being picked up by your set of receptors. Okay? I say, so what's the point? You can't die. You're not even in here. And if your body TV breaks and it dies, another embryo with the same set of the antennas shows up. You're back. You know what's important? Doesn't make a difference if it's a male or female television. I go, nope. You're not the TV, you're the broadcast. Doesn't make a difference if it's white, brown, black, red, yellow. I go, no, that's the TV. You are the broadcast. We are all from the same broadcast. We are all a piece of an energy field. Field and spirit in physics have the same definition. Spirit is now recognized by quantum physics. It's not recognized by medicine. It's not recognized by Newtonian physics. The most valid, the most truthful science on this planet is quantum physics. And the principle number one, consciousness is creating your life experience. Change your consciousness and you will change not just your genetic activity, but you'll change your life experiences. It's not genes, it has nothing to do with that. Consciousness is an energy, consciousness is a field. And that's why science and quantum physics recognizes spirit. It's the only science that recognizes spirit. Why? Because it's an energy science. And it says, you are the energy, you're not the body. And when people understand this, a couple of things, because I was there years ago, it's like, whoa, I can't die. I'm not in here. And it took away the fear of death because we, as the only organism on this planet, are the only organism that recognizes it can die. No other organism knows this. Okay. So I say, excuse me, the fear of that knowledge is what brings us to religion. You know, they say, oh, you can go to hell. I go, why? Well, because we're going to teach you how to go to heaven. I say, oh, yeah, how much is that? And they say 10%. Give us 10% of your salary. It's called tithing. And we'll give you a ticket to go to heaven instead of go to hell. I go, where did hell come from? It was Greek mythology that the church took in. And I go, they scare people. So in my recent lectures, I talk about the word power monger means people who seek power, power mongers, they want power. So I call it the power monger's credo, the belief of power mongers. Ready? Give them the poison for free and then charge them for the antidote. Okay? The church did that. The poison, hell. You want to get out of hell? Give us 10%. We'll get you out of hell. Okay? Today, the same thing. Oh, COVID. You want to get out of COVID? Buy the vaccine. And we'll give you the COVID, which they did, and then they sell you the vaccine. But it didn't work. Goddamn stuff didn't work at all, you know. And the point about it is people have been fooled. People were scared. When people are scared, they give up their power. That is an understandable thing. If you are afraid, you're going to look for somebody else to help you because that means you're a victim. Fear, you're a victim. Somebody help me. Medicine, government, religion. We are the powerful source, but they took away that power in that first 7 years when we were being programmed. If you were programmed like a Native American, well, unfortunately, guess what? Their program is bad. You know why? How many generations have they been accused of being drunken and Indians and lazy Indians and do nothing Indians? I say, what does that mean? I say, every child that grows up in that family gets a program from their parents. Not good enough, lazy, alcoholic, and they become the damn program. They lost their power. Black people, same thing. Who do you think you are? You know? And then pass on the history of being, a lower class citizen. And even in England, for example, they have upper class and lower class. I say, what's the difference? I say, you can't join upper class. You can be born into upper class, but you can't be lower class and then become upper class. So they separated the world. They said, oh, we are the upper class people. We are the privileged ones. You are the lower class people. You're the workers. I go, whoa, belief system,
Yeah.
programming. It's time for new programs, because we're not doing very well in the world right now, are we?
No, no. And I really like your analogy with the TV and the broadcast. And that's amazing. And do you think that the scientists and researchers and those in your field should get involved more into the spiritual side so they understand how things really work?
Without that understanding, they cannot heal people. That's a simple fact. Is that an understanding that's just new age? I go, no, it's quantum physics. And quantum physics, if they don't understand it, and they don't, because most doctors have never taken quantum physics as a course or a program. They have no idea. And I say, until you understand quantum physics, you can't understand the world. Quantum physics, the new science. Well, it's 100 years old. People still don't know what quantum physics is all about. It's all about consciousness, energy, field, spirit, source. That's what's not in medicine. And that's what controls biology. So, how good can medicine be if they don't recognize it? No good. And that's, I say, yeah, third leading cause of death. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So in other words, it doesn't matter if you are a doctor or a regular Joe, you cannot do good or a lot of good, and you cannot evolve spiritually unless your level of consciousness goes to the next level.
Right. Look, there's a saying it's been around, and it's a truism, meaning it's a true statement. And the truism is knowledge is power. And I go, but let me say the same thing. Just twist it a little bit. You ready? A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. What you don't know can kill you. What you don't know has enslaved you because you don't know that you're a powerful creator because your program took it away. If you undo the program, reprogram, you have the power to control and create your life. And that's why we came to this planet. We came to create heaven on earth. If you think you're going to live by all the rules that the church put out, and then the day you die, you can go to heaven, well, you missed it. I say you were born into heaven. Why? This is the place of creation. You are creating. You don't like what you're creating? It's the program, not your ability. It's your program that has taken away that power that you have. And this is the wake up call. And this is why I'm so happy to be here with you today, Claudio, because this is the information that has to get out. Otherwise, people are going to be victims for the rest of their life. And if you're a victim, you have no power.
Yes, I agree. And part of your mission is also the conference in Toronto. You're going to be here in September at
Yes.
the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution. Do you
Yes.
see the evolution of the two, consciousness and human evolution, being done in tandem, or one is going to break away due to factors we cannot control?
No, what factors can we not control? Because as soon as you say that, you say that I'm a victim. Because you say,
Hmm.
I can't control it. Oh, then who can fix it? I go, you're gonna look for somebody? I say, no, you can do it, but you don't believe you can do it. And that is the wake-up call that I'm trying to present when I come up there with the science. I'm not gonna just say, oh, it'd be so nice to believe in spirit. No, no, I'll show you the science of it. Does it work? Man, I've been around the world doing this for a long time, and I have to tell you, thousands of people have connected back to say how the new knowledge empowered them to take the control back, how they can eliminate cancer, how they can eliminate disease, how they can create a honeymoon forever on this planet, which is the intention, because this is heaven. This is where you came to create. And if your creation doesn't look that good, it's not because you can't create, it's because your program took away your power of creation.
Yes. And do you think, I mean, they are threatening us with another medical crisis. Do you
Ah,
think we are going to be better prepared and we're going to react better this time around?
yeah, because people started questioning a lot after this happened. So if it shows up again, those people with a question from the last one are going to be in the front to question this one as well. I would stay away from it. I think if you want me to guess what they'll do to scare us, remember, if you're in fear, you give up your power. That's the game, okay? They need to scare us. Last time was COVID. I think it might be flying saucers. I
Yeah,
think
could
that
be. Yeah.
because the US military has them. They created them from reverse engineering for military. They don't give a damn for the people. But if you want to scare people, throw some flying saucers up in the sky and tell them the aliens are here, and you're going to see everybody go, ah, give what government take care of me, and then it's like you lost again.
Yeah.
Nope,
I heard about
friendly skies.
scenarios. Yeah.
If there's a flying saucer that came here, they have much more intelligence than we have. So I wouldn't fear them. I would welcome them and say, teach us because you're ahead of us.
Yeah. Many, many years ago, you met Yanis before he became famous. Do you think he was aware that his music, the frequency he was using, will influence people?
Well, I'll tell you what. I found him, and he was getting a PhD in psychology at the University of Minnesota. And I heard him play music. I said, "Why waste your time with a PhD? You play this music that's more better than any PhD." And he said, "Because if I play music, my father won't support me." I happened to have some money at the time from my father's will, and I said, "I will support you." And I took him out of school, and I bought him instruments, and I gave him the freedom to write music, and we put a show on. And the first show we did was 1979. There was no class of music in the record store that said New Age music. It wasn't there yet, okay? And for very quick for fun, because we called the show Laser Symphony because there were lasers, okay? And Yanni playing the New Age music, which wasn't, nobody knew New Age music then. And I was a professor at the University of Wisconsin. So in the city of Madison, where the university is, they had a brand new civic center. And because I was a faculty member, they gave me a good deal. I rented the theater for a show, and it was called Laser Symphony. Interesting part, when the night of the show, in the lobby, there were all these older people all dressed up, ties, and they thought it was a symphony. The other half of the lobby were all these kids with leather and piercing and all kinds of stuff because it was advertised on a rock and roll station. And so in the lobby, they're looking at each other. The young people are looking at the older people, thinking, "What are you doing here?" The older people are looking at the young people, "What are you doing here?" But when Yanni played the music, it connected symphony and rock, which was New Age. And both those audiences thought it was the greatest thing they've ever seen. It was the introduction of New Age, and that's what got Yanni off the ground.
Yeah. He was unique at that time. I know I listened to him. I still have his CDs after so many years. Amazing music.
Yeah. Well, the first one is called Opti Mystique, and that was the music from the show that I produce with Yanni, and that took him from "Who's Yanni" to "Where's Yanni," and then more people signed on to see him.
Mm. Bruce, I really appreciate your time. We are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Thought, people out there, I want you to listen to this podcast. I want you to listen to all of his podcasts because it's time for new knowledge. The knowledge we've been operating from is self-destruction. Then we're seeing it live. You just have to you watch the news, surf the web, look out your window, and you see the whole world is crazy. And that's because it doesn't work. And that we're going to create a new civilization. But to create that, you need knowledge. Knowledge is power. And this podcast with my dear friend Claudiu over here is a source of new knowledge. I highly recommend stick with the podcast, take the knowledge in, because it's time for us to change our beliefs. We're not victims, we are creators. And the difference between victim and creation, knowledge. And so I hope that you stick with these podcasts because it's the knowledge that will help you evolve into a better world that we're looking forward to.
Thank you very much for your wise words, for the encouragement, and for everything you do in the world. You are a beacon of light along with your friends. You are traveling with them all over
Yeah,
the place, Greg, and sometimes Joe and Lynn McTaggart, which I interviewed several months ago. It was a
yeah.
pleasure as well.
You're a friend of mine. Yes.
So once again, much love. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And let's thank our dear audience. You and I should thank our audience because they're the ones that we're really trying to say, look, you are more powerful than you think you are. And if you understand your power, the world will change. So keep your eyes and your mind open. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
And
you
to
very
my
much.
viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, leave a comment. See more episodes at spiritualinspired.ca. And until next time, love and gratitude.